The people of Varos 9 had long been forgotten. Their colony was a speck of dust on the outer rim, valuable only for its ores, ignored by the Central Powers, and invisible to the Galactic Council. For decades, they lived in quiet obscurity until the day the slaver fleets came. The raiders descended like wolves on sheep. Their ships tore through the colony's meager defense drones within hours. The skies burned red as orbital strikes hammered the cities. Families huddled in basements, clutching their children, as broadcast after broadcast filled the airwaves with a single desperate plea. This is Varos 9. We are under attack. Any fleet, any authority, please respond. We are dying. VI. Council heard. They always heard. But in their grand chambers, the cry of a frontier colony was met with silence. Aid meant risk, risk meant expenditure, and expenditure was wasteful for lives so far removed from the core worlds. The other empires heard, too. They debated in their parliaments, scribbled notes into data pads, and looked away, but the message traveled farther than anyone expected. It reached the one world no one wanted to hear it. Earth. The Deathworlders, the cursed species that thrived on a planet of poisons, storms, predators, and war. A people forged in catastrophe who spoke the language of survival as fluently as breath. Every child of the galaxy knew the name of humans, and none spoke it without unease. And yet the colonists of Varos 9 did not know fear. They only knew desperation. They broadcast again, and Earth answered. But not in the way anyone expected. The night skies over Varos 9 trembled. It began as a low hum that set teeth on edge, then grew into a vibration that rattled windows and cracked walls. Farmers, miners, children, everyone looked up at once, their fear of the slavers momentarily forgotten. Space split open. A rift of blinding light tore above the colony as if the heavens themselves were being ripped apart. From the wound, a vast shadow emerged, angular, black, bristling with weapons. It wasn't a fleet. It wasn't an aid convoy. It was a single warship, large enough to blot out stars. The colonists gasped in terror and awe. The slavers laughed. A single vessel? Their commander sneered from orbit. The humans mock us. They hailed the warship, filling comm channels with jeers. Leave, Deathworlders. This world is ours. Do you think one ship will stop us? No reply came. The warship drifted silently, like a predator considering its prey. Then a single broadcast, echoed across every channel, carried in a voice so calm it chilled the blood. This is the UNS Leviathan. Colonists of Varos 9 remain sheltered. Enemy vessels, you have 1 minute to evacuate. The laughter of the slavers redoubled. They powered weapons, locked targeting systems, and launched a volley of missiles toward the human ship. The Leviathan moved. It was not fast, not frantic, but deliberate, like a giant shifting its weight. The first volley of missiles struck its shields and vanished into harmless light. Then, without haste, the warship fired. A single beam of white fire lanced across the void. The flagship of the slaver fleet, a vessel that had terrorized half. A dozen colonies was reduced to molten slag in less than a second. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then chaos erupted. The slavers scattered, desperate to flee, but the Leviathan hunted without mercy. Its guns spoke thunder. Each shot painted the night sky with fire. One by one, ships became wreckage. Wreckage became debris, and debris became nothing but ash scattered among the stars. From the surface, the colonists watched, their terror mingled with awe. Children pressed their faces to shattered windows to glimpse the war in the sky. Farmers clutched prayer beads, whispering blessings and curses in equal measure. Even the most hardened miners fell to their knees, unable to comprehend such power. In less than 15 minutes, the fleet that had enslaved hundreds of worlds was gone. Not broken, not defeated. Erased. The Leviathan spoke again. Colonists of Varos 9. The threat is ended. Prepare for landing. When the human dropships descended, the colonists expected saviors in white coats, diplomats with smiles, or perhaps simple soldiers offering rations. What they saw instead chilled them. The Deathworlders stepped onto their soil clad in armor black as night, scarred with battle marks, glowing faintly with alien technology repurposed to human will. Their faces were stern, their weapons colossal, their movements precise. The commander removed her helmet, revealing sharp eyes that scanned the colony, not with kindness, but with ownership. She raised her voice so all could hear. "You called for help," humanity answered. "Your enemies are dead. From this day forth, Varos 9 is under Earth's protection. You will rebuild stronger, and you will never again fall to weakness." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Protection or conquest? The commander's gaze softened, only slightly. "We are not your overlords, but understand this truth. Mercy is not given freely. It is bought. The blood of your enemies has paid part of the price. The rest will be paid in loyalty." Some colonists wept in gratitude. Others recoiled in fear. But all knew one thing with certainty. They were alive. The slavers would never return. Days turned into weeks. The Leviathan remained in orbit, its shadow a constant reminder of human presence. The colonists rebuilt under the watchful eyes of their new guardians. Some whispered of freedom lost, others of salvation gained. But beyond the colony, the story spread like wildfire. The council chambers quaked with outrage. "The humans have expanded again. They take without permission." The other empires seethed in fear. One colony saved today meant 10 more under human protection tomorrow. The Deathworlders were not diplomats. They were conquerors dressed in the guise of saviors. And yet, for the countless frontier worlds still under threat of raiders and slavers, the message was clear. If you broadcast an SOS to the Council, you will be ignored. If you broadcast an SOS to the empires, you will be debated. But if you broadcast an SOS to Earth, you do not invite help. You summon a warship. And when the Deathworlders arrive, your enemies will burn. The frontier colony of Aurealis Prime was burning. Pirate banners filled the skies, and plasma fire rained down like meteors. The colony militia, little more than undertrained civilians, fought bravely, but their ships were toothpicks against warhammers. One by one, defense satellites winked out, their wreckage tumbling into the atmosphere like falling stars. Desperate, the colony governor ordered the transmission. A wide-band signal, sent on every frequency, encoded in every known tongue. "This is Aurealis Prime, frontier settlement of the Galactic Council. We are under siege, requesting immediate assistance. SOS, SOS, SOS." The message traveled on light, crossing the void. In the Grand Assembly of the Galactic Council, the signal arrived 3 days later. The chamber was immense, filled with the voices of hundreds of species. When the distress call played, silence fell. For a moment, perhaps, sympathy stirred. But then the politicians spoke. A representative of the Volari clicked his mandibles. "The pirates are armed with council-forbidden weapons. To interfere would be costly," the Crassian delegate hissed. "Send a fleet, and we risk escalation. Let the colony fend for itself. They are unimportant." So the council debated and delayed, and ultimately chose inaction. But treaties demanded that all distress signals be routed to Earth, the outlier species, the Deathworlders who had insisted upon inclusion in the network. The council smirked at this requirement, certain that humans, who still bore the reputation of reckless savages, would send at most a token convoy, perhaps a corvette, perhaps nothing at all. They were wrong. Above Aurealis Prime, the pirates celebrated. Their flagship prowled in orbit, its captain barking orders through the comms, reveling in the ease of conquest. "Break the northern dome," he snarled. "Smoke the rats out. By dawn, the colony will kneel." His crew roared approval. Their sensors chirped warnings of an incoming warp signature, but they laughed. Reinforcements from the Council, perhaps? A freighter? Nothing they couldn't crush. The void tore open. Out of hyperspace emerged not a convoy nor a corvette, but a single colossus. A warship, vast and angular, its hull marked with the insignia of a red sun, and the letters UNS Dreadnought Helios. The pirates fell silent. Even the colonists below, hiding in bunkers, looked to the skies with terror and awe. The dreadnought drifted into position, its silhouette blotting out the stars. Then a single transmission flooded every channel. This is Captain Arden of the Helios. Colonists, remain sheltered. Hostile forces, you have one chance. Evacuate the system or be annihilated, the pirate commander sneered. One ship against 20 foolish Deathworlders. Fire on them. Hundreds of missiles streaked through the void. Plasma cannons spat molten fury. The dreadnought's shields flared bright, but held. And then humanity answered. The Helios fired once, just once. A beam of energy cut across the darkness like the blade of a god, and the pirate flagship, fortress of terror, pride of the raiders, was ripped apart in Mao. A single blinding flash. It didn't explode. It ceased to exist. Its atoms scattered in silence. For a heartbeat, the galaxy itself seemed to pause. Then chaos erupted. The pirates screamed, scattering in panic. Some tried to flee into warp, but the dreadnought's gravity. Lances pinned them in place, dragging them like insects into a web. Others turned to fight, but their volleys splashed harmlessly against impenetrable armor. The Helios spoke again, its captain's voice calm as winter. Last warning, leave or die. The raiders did not leave. The dreadnought's cannons roared. To the colonists below, the sky became a storm of fire. Pirate cruisers split open like kindling. Frigates burst into blossoms of flame. Escape pods were swatted from space before they could flee. The battle lasted 7 minutes. When it ended, the raider fleet was gone. Nothing remained but drifting wreckage and silence. The colonists emerged from their shelters, trembling. Survivors gathered in the square of the shattered capital, staring upward at the warship that had single-handedly saved them. Relief warred with dread in their eyes. Then the dreadnought hailed them. Governor Tara, her clothes still singed from falling debris, accepted the call. A massive screen lit up, revealing Captain Arden. His uniform was pristine, his face scarred, his eyes cold steel. "You are safe," he said simply. "Borealis Prime is under Earth's protection now," the governor swallowed. "On behalf of the colony, we thank you. Will you remain until the Council sends aid?" Arden's lips curled, not in a smile, but something darker. "The Council will send nothing. They debated your lives and found them unworthy. Remember that. You are alive because humanity answered." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Gratitude, fear, uncertainty. The governor hesitated. "And what do you ask of us?" Arden leaned forward. "Only this. When you cry for help, know what you summon. Humanity does not bring peace. Humanity brings finality. If you accept our shield, you accept our shadow. Borealis Prime will never fall again, but it will never stand alone." The transmission ended. The dreadnought lingered in orbit, a silent guardian, or jailer, depending on one's view. Far away, in the glittering halls of the Council, news arrived of the massacre. The chamber erupted in outrage. The humans used disproportionate force. They claimed territory without sanction. They destroyed an entire fleet without trial. But beneath the fury, a thread of fear ran cold. For centuries, the empires had dismissed Earth as reckless brutes. Yet in a single night, a single human warship had accomplished what entire Council fleets often failed to do: annihilate a threat completely with no losses. Diplomats wrung their hands. Admirals whispered of escalation. Merchants watched with calculating eyes. And across the frontier, the message spread like wildfire. When you call for help, the Council sends excuses. When you call for help, the empires send nothing. But when you call for help and the Deathworlders hear you, they don't send aid, they don't send mercy, they send a warship. And so, across the fractured frontier, desperate voices whispered the same dangerous thought. Perhaps if our world is threatened, we should not call the Council at all. Perhaps we should call Earth. Because in a galaxy of hesitation and cowardice, the Deathworlders had proven one terrible, undeniable truth. To ask humanity for help is to invite the end of your enemies. The mining world of Karos was never meant for war. Its people dug deep into the planet's crust, harvesting rare metals for the Galactic Council. Their lives were simple, their defenses minimal. No one thought raiders would come so far for such a humble prize. They were wrong. The fleet of the Skarn marauders fell upon Karos without warning. Their ships darkened the skies, their bombardments shattered domes and stripped atmospheres. Entire families fled underground, hiding in mine shafts that became tombs of fear. Governor Donnell, old and desperate, sent the only thing he could, a signal. This is Karos, colony of the Council. We are under attack. We have no fleet. We cannot hold. Any vessel that hears us, please, help us. This is our SOS. The signal went out into the void, across relays and satellites. Most powers ignored it. The Council debated it. The empires mocked it. But in one corner of space, the signal reached ears that did not hesitate. It reached Earth. 3 days later, the raiders still prowled above Karos. Their commander drank victory wine on the bridge of his ship, laughing as his crew plundered the world below. "These miners are nothing," he sneered. "When we are finished, there won't be a soul left alive." That was when the alarms began to shriek. A massive warp signature tore open above the planet. The void rippled like water, and from the rift emerged a warship so vast it dwarfed the raiders' flagship. Its hull was obsidian black, its edges sharp and brutal, like a blade forged for gods. Across its prow burned words in ancient Terran script, UNS Soul's Wrath. The marauders went silent. The colonists underground trembled as their comms flickered with a single transmission. "This is Captain Rivas of the Soul's Wrath. Colonists, remain hidden. Raiders, this world is under Earth's protection. Depart or be destroyed." The raider commander spat out his wine and snarled. "One ship? Do they mock us? Destroy it." Dozens of marauder vessels turned their guns. Plasma lanced through the void. Missiles screamed. The Soul's Wrath did not dodge. Its shields flared bright, shimmering like a star, but held. Then the human warship answered. Its cannons thundered once and a cruiser vanished. Another volley and 3 frigates erupted into fireballs. Its weapons did not bark like the pirates' crude artillery. They roared like storms, precise, absolute, final. The colonists who peered from cracks in their shelters gasped. Children whispered prayers. Old miners wept, not with fear, but with awe. Above them, the Soul's Wrath became a storm-given form. The battle raged, though to call it a battle was an insult to the word. It was a slaughter. The marauders fought, but for every shot they fired, the dreadnought answered with devastation. Its railguns punched holes through armored hulls as though they were paper. Its lances of pure plasma carved ships in half, leaving them to tumble lifeless into the void. The commander of the marauders tried to flee, screaming for his fleet to scatter. But the Soul's Wrath unleashed a weapon the galaxy had sworn was forbidden, a gravity well projector. Warp drives sputtered uselessly. Engines screamed in protest. The pirates were trapped. Captain Rivas's voice filled every channel again, steady, merciless. "You chose violence. Your choice has ended you." One by one, the marauders burned. 7 minutes later, it was over. Above Karos hung only wreckage, the bones of a once proud fleet. Below, silence reigned in the mines. Slowly, cautiously, the colonists emerged. Their eyes turned skyward, watching the warship that had saved them. The Soul's wrath descended. Its dropships pierced the clouds, landing in the capital's ruins. Out stepped the Deathworlders. They were giants in blackened armor, their visors glowing faintly, their weapons heavy and alien. The air grew thick as the miners gathered, unsure, whether to rejoice or run. At their head walked Captain Ravas. His armor hissed as he removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face and eyes like frozen iron. He stood before the governor and spoke, his voice carrying the weight of thunder. "You called for help. Humanity answered." Governor Daniel trembled, clutching his staff. "We are grateful, truly, but why? Why would Earth send a warship for us?" Rava studied him for a long moment. "Because you asked. Because no one else would come. And because when humanity answers, it does so with fire." The miners murmured, exchanging fearful glances. Some whispered prayers of thanks. Others whispered warnings of conquest. Rivas raised his voice for all to hear. "Hear me, people of Karos. From this day forth, no raider will touch your soil. No pirate will dare your skies. Your cry has bound you to Earth, and Earth does not abandon its own." A child's voice broke the silence. Are you our saviors?" For the first time, Ravas's gaze softened. "No, we are not saviors. We are shields, and shields are made of steel, not mercy." Word of Karos spread. Across the frontier, whispers filled taverns and council halls alike. A colony had called for help, not to the council, not to the empires, but to Earth. And Earth had answered not with diplomats or healers, but with a warship that burned an entire fleet to ash. In the chambers of the Galactic Council, outrage thundered. The humans expand again. They destroy without sanction. They impose rule without permission. But beneath the fury, fear simmered. Because none could deny the truth. A single Terran dreadnought had accomplished in minutes what council fleets struggled to do in months, and across the desperate outer colonies, the lesson spread like wildfire. If you call the council, you will be ignored. If you call the empires, you will be debated. But if you call Earth, you do not summon aid. You summon war. And war wears the name of Soul's wrath. In the mining tunnels of Karos, children still tell the story. How one cry in the dark reached the Deathworlders. How the skies split open and a warship fell upon their enemies like judgment itself. And how, from that day forward, Karos no longer lived in fear. Because when the SOS reached Earth, humanity did not send help. They sent a warship.